The world is watching, barely breathing, as smoke billows over Iran's most secret sites. This isn't just another skirmish in the shadows. This is Operation Rising Lion, Israel's boldest, most direct, and maybe its most game-changing military move ever against Iran's nuclear ambitions. Explosions are literally shaking the foundations of Iran's nuclear dreams, from the massive Natanz facility to the mountain fortress of Fordow. Tonight, we're breaking down the pinpoint military accuracy, the high-stakes strategy, and the terrifying fallout of an attack that has completely redrawn the battle lines in the Middle East. How did Israel pull off such a massive series of strikes? And what's next for a region already teetering on the brink? The unthinkable has happened, setting the stage for decades. A secret war has been brewing between Israel and Iran. A fight played out with cyber attacks, sabotage, and assassinations. But what happened in June 2025? It threw this long-running feud into a scary new light. The fuse had been getting shorter for months, maybe even years. International eyes and Israeli intelligence were all pointing to one thing: Iran was speeding up its nuclear program. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, kept releasing grim reports, showing Iran was quickly piling up highly enriched uranium, enriched to 60%, dangerously close to the 90% needed for a bomb. Experts warned that Iran's breakout time, how long it'd take to make enough material for one bomb, had shrunk to weeks, possibly just days. For Israel, this wasn't just worrying, they saw it as a threat to their very existence. Tehran's constant calls for Israel's destruction, on top of its advanced missiles and its support for proxy militias everywhere, painted a dark picture for Israeli military minds. The Israeli leadership, saying they had intel that Iran was about to cross a point of no return with nuclear weapons, felt they had to act. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it a clear and present danger to Israel's very survival, saying the operation was a preemptive strike against a threat that was right around the corner. The decision was made: the shadow war had to become an open one. The goal, according to Israeli officials, was to degrade, destroy, and ultimately stop the threat from Iran's fast-moving nuclear program. This was the backdrop for Operation Rising Lion, a name that carries deep historical and biblical meaning for Israel, signaling a fight for sheer survival. The main targets were no secret, but they were tough. Natanz, Iran's key nuclear enrichment site, a huge place with buildings above ground and sections buried deep, was number one. Then there was Fordow, a facility dug deep inside a mountain near Qom, built to survive regular air attacks. Beyond those, the Isfahan Nuclear Research Center, crucial for various parts of the fuel cycle and research, was on the list. And then sites at Qadab and Khorramabad, thought to be part of the wider nuclear and military setup, along with major missile bases like the one in Kermanshah province, were also targeted. This operation wasn't just about buildings, it was about gutting capability and taking out leadership. Operation Rising Lion Unleashed. The military breakdown Operation Rising Lion kicked off in the dark, early hours of June 13, 2025. It was a complex, multi-layered, and incredibly coordinated assault, planned for years, all designed to overwhelm and neutralize Iran's defenses and its nuclear sites in a series of devastating hits. The first shots weren't even aimed at the nuclear plants. Instead, they went for the eyes and ears of the Iranian military. Israeli jets, likely a mix of advanced stealth fighters like the F-35, backed up by electronic warfare planes and long-range strike aircraft, systematically took apart Iran's air defense network in the western part of the country. Dozens of radar stations and surface-to-air missile launchers were reportedly wiped out. This crucial first move, called Suppression of Enemy Air Defenses, SEAD, was vital for creating safe paths for the later waves of attack planes and for crippling Iran's ability to track and fight back. At the same time, there were reports of Mossad-led sabotage missions hitting air defense systems and missile infrastructure, maybe even using hidden drone bases set up near key spots and commandos on the ground. This points to incredibly deep infiltration and intelligence work, aiming to cause chaos and paralyze Iran's command. With Iranian air defenses seriously weakened, the attackers turned to the crown jewels, Iran's nuclear program. The Natanz facility in Isfahan province got hammered. Eyewitnesses and later satellite images showed huge plumes of black smoke, with major damage to its above-ground sections. Critically, Israeli sources said the power to the underground centrifuge halls, where thousands of machines enrich uranium, was cut. A sudden power loss like that can wreck those delicate, high-speed centrifuges, potentially causing them to tear themselves apart. The goal was obvious: stop enrichment and cause long-lasting damage to Iran's most productive uranium site. Next, or maybe at the same time, came the attack on Fordow. This place, buried deep under a mountain, is a really tough nut to crack, almost impossible to hit with regular bombs. Successfully hitting Fordow would need special, bunker-busting, bombs and incredibly precise targeting. Explosions were confirmed near the site. The strikes probably aimed not just at the underground enrichment areas through vents or entrances but also at the heavily reinforced air defenses protecting this key asset. The psychological win of hitting Fordow can't be stressed enough. It showed Israel could reach even Iran's most protected places. But Operation Rising Lion didn't stop at Natanz and Fordow. The Isfahan Nuclear Research Center, a major hub for nuclear R&D, was also confirmed hit by both Israeli and Iranian sources. More strikes were reported at other nuclear-related sites, including Kadab and Khorramabad, showing a massive effort to dismantle the entire nuclear fuel cycle and related research. And Iran's ballistic missile power wasn't spared either. A major missile base in Kermanshah province, a center for short and medium-range missiles, was targeted to reduce Iran's ability to hit back with conventional missile attacks. Reports suggested over 200 Israeli aircraft were involved in these initial strikes, dropping more than 330 bombs and missiles on about 100 targets. Perhaps one of the most daring and strategically vital parts of Operation Rising Lion was going directly after Iran's top military and scientific leaders. Strikes were reported on the homes of high-ranking officials. Iranian state media, in a rare admission of such losses, confirmed that some of the most powerful people in its security and scientific world were killed. Among those reported dead were General Hossein Salami, the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, General Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, and well-known nuclear scientists Faridun Abbasi and Mohammad Mehdi Taranchi. Losing such key figures, especially those with deep knowledge and command experience, would be a crippling blow to Iran's military leadership, its nuclear program's know-how, and its ability to mount a coordinated response. This was a decapitation strategy, plain and simple, designed to throw the Iranian leadership into chaos. The tactics used hint at incredibly careful planning and intelligence. The talk of previously smuggled drones and precision weapons points to a long-term covert operation to place assets inside Iran. The coordination between the Israeli Air Force and Mossad operatives on the ground? That shows a new level of joined-up warfare. The sheer number of targets hit across so many provinces in such a short time speaks volumes about a massive intelligence effort and a highly sophisticated operation. Israel's military claimed it hit targets Tehran never saw coming, suggesting either a major intelligence blunder by Iran or a very successful Israeli deception game. The aftermath, Iran's response and global shockwaves, the immediate fallout from Operation Rising Lion was, as you'd expect, chaotic and violent. Iran, even with its command structure and air defenses battered, didn't wait to hit back. Tehran launched what it called Operation True Promise 3, a revenge barrage of drones and ballistic missiles aimed at major Israeli cities, including Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. Air raid sirens wailed across Israel as its multi-layered air defense systems, Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow, reportedly with some U.S. help, worked frantically to knock down the incoming threats. While many were intercepted, the sheer volume of the exchange signaled a dangerous new chapter in the conflict, a direct state-on-state military fight of an intensity never seen before. Israeli officials quickly painted Operation Rising Lion not as a one-off, but as the start of what could be a long air campaign. Prime Minister Netanyahu declared the operation would continue, as many days as it takes, to wipe out the Iranian nuclear threat, signaling they were in it for the long haul. They had several stated goals: cripple Iran's uranium enrichment, mess with its ability to retaliate effectively, take out the leadership running its nuclear and military programs, and ultimately, either force Iran to negotiate under extreme pressure or completely disable its nuclear program for a long time. Figuring out the full extent of the damage to Iran's nuclear dreams will take time. But early reports from Israeli military sources and observations from international analysts suggest a major setback. The destruction at Natanz, especially if the power loss to the underground centrifuge halls did cause severe damage to the machinery, could take years to fix. The strikes on Fordow, even if they didn't completely destroy the deeply buried sections, would have at least shut down operations and shown it wasn't untouchable. The loss of key scientists and military commanders is a less tangible but equally huge blow, wiping out years of vital knowledge and leadership. The geopolitical shockwaves are already massive. Israel directly targeting Iranian land and its core strategic assets is an escalation many feared but few saw coming with such force. International reactions have been a mix. Some condemn the Israeli strikes, others call for everyone to calm down, and many express concern over Iran's nuclear progress that supposedly sparked the crisis. The United Nations Security Council held emergency meetings, pushing for a return to diplomacy, though that path looks pretty dim right now. Regional powers are on high alert, terrified of a wider war that could pull in other countries. The global economy, already shaky, is bracing for the hit to oil prices and shipping in the crucial Persian Gulf. This operation has shattered any leftover ideas about the limits of the Iran-Israel conflict. It's shown Israel is willing to take huge risks and use overwhelming force to stop what it sees as a threat to its existence. It's also laid bare the weaknesses in Iran's defenses, despite its hardened sights and tough talk. But it also brings up the terrifying possibility of a tit-for-tat cycle of attacks that could spin completely out of control. Some analysts even think such a devastating attack might, strangely enough, make Iran even more determined to get a nuclear weapon, believing it's the only real way to guarantee its safety. The Middle East has just entered an incredibly volatile and unpredictable new chapter after Operation Rising Lion. Things are moving fast. For ongoing in-depth analysis, military breakdowns, and all the updates as more information surfaces, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. You definitely won't want to miss our continuing coverage. Operation Rising Lion, as it played out in June 2025, stands as the biggest and most direct military attack on Iran's nuclear program we've ever seen. It was a meticulously planned and ruthlessly carried out campaign that went after everything: enrichment plants, research centers, missile bases, and, crucially, Iran's top scientific and military leaders. The immediate result looks like a serious blow to Iran's nuclear abilities and a major hit to its command structure. But the long-term consequences? Those are dangerously unclear. Israel might have scored a big tactical win, setting back Iran's nuclear clock. But it has also, without a doubt, lit a firestorm, pushing the region into a new and much more dangerous reality. The shadow war is over, a direct, open conflict has started, and where it goes from here is now the most urgent and dangerous question the world faces. The lion has truly risen, but the echoes of its roar will be felt for a very long time.